the time travel leap. Imagine, if you will, that you've just stepped through the shimmering veil of time itself, the cosmic equivalent of hopping on the last tube before the station closes, but instead of the familiar city streets, you find yourself in a world utterly alien, the Mesozoic Era, home to the mighty dinosaurs. This is not a place for the faint-hearted or those who prefer their tea without the possibility of becoming dino fodder. The air is thick, humid, and pungent with the smells of ancient forests, a mix of damp ferns, rotting wood, and the unmistakable musk of creatures at the top of the food chain. The ground beneath your feet is soft and uneven, dotted with the footprints of beasts long gone but still very much alive in this era. And above you, an immense sky stretches wide, a canopy of greens and greys filtered through prehistoric foliage. As you take your first cautious steps, your mind races with a mixture of wonder and a healthy dose of terror. You are utterly out of place, a curious anomaly in a world ruled by creatures whose very existence challenges the imagination. Your heart pounds with the knowledge that you're surrounded by giants, some gentle herbivores minding their own business, others apex predators for whom you might very well be considered a snack. Now, before we get too carried away with visions of T-Rex chomping on unsuspecting visitors or velociraptors planning a coordinated ambush, let us take a moment to breathe, figuratively, as the actual atmosphere here would be quite the shock to our lungs. Inhale slowly and remember. This is a story, a journey of the mind and imagination, designed to lull you gently while engaging your curiosity. Picture yourself standing there, like Mick Jagger on stage, perhaps singing "Time is on my side." Ironically, because in this era, time may not be quite so generous to you. The rolling rhythm of the classic rock beat plays softly in your mind as you survey your surroundings, a prehistoric concert of life and survival. The landscape before you is a sprawling, untamed wilderness. Towering conifers and cycads rise like ancient skyscrapers, casting mottled shadows that dance with the breeze. Ferns and horsetails carpet the ground, providing a lush underlayer teeming with small creatures and insects, the tiny beats that sustain the larger players in this ancient drama. You are immediately struck by the sheer scale of everything. The trees tower above you, so tall and thick that sunlight filters through only in patches, creating a dappled pattern on the forest floor. This is no mere forest. It is a cathedral of life, alive with the sounds of chirping insects, rustling leaves, and distant calls of creatures whose voices you will never fully understand. Your senses are on high alert. Every crack of a twig or rustle in the bushes could signal a nearby dinosaur, curious or hungry. This heightened awareness is not just instinct. It is essential for survival in a time when you are far from the comforts of home. But what do you wear? Modern clothes, of course, are about as useful here as a vinyl record in a rainstorm. Your best bet would be something hardy, thick leather perhaps, or woven fibres strong enough to fend off scratches from thorny plants or the occasional curious creature. And your shoes? Sturdy boots with good grip, though even these may falter on the swampy, uneven terrain. Survival gear as we know it is nowhere to be found. No smartphones to call for help, no GPS to chart your position. Instead, your tools are limited to whatever the landscape offers. Sticks sharpened into spears, stones fashioned into crude cutting implements, and your own wits and reflexes. The challenge before you is daunting. How does one survive in a world where every step might bring you face to face with a creature capable of turning you into lunch? The answer lies not just in strength, but in understanding, in learning the rhythms and rules of this ancient land. As you begin to explore, your mind drifts again to the Rolling Stones, whose music echoes a rebellious spirit not unlike the dinosaurs themselves. You can't always get what you want. Plays faintly as you realise that what you want is safety, and what you often get is the raw, unfiltered reality of survival. This is a place where the rules of modern life are rewritten, Time is measured not in minutes or hours, but in the slow, grinding shifts of geological epochs. The dinosaurs move with a confidence born of millions of years of evolution, masters of their environment in ways that leave you humbled. Yet, within this alien world, you also find moments of unexpected beauty. The delicate petals of prehistoric flowers, the shimmer of dragonflies larger than your hand, the gentle ripple of a lake disturbed by the slow movement of a distant sauropod. These are the quiet notes in a symphony dominated by thunderous footsteps and the occasional roar. In this first leap through time, you have arrived not as a conqueror but as a guest, a humble observer in a world that existed long before us and will continue to inspire awe long after we're gone. So, dear listener, as you settle into this story, let the timeless music of curiosity and wonder carry you gently forward. There are many tales to tell, many dangers to understand, and many lessons to learn from our dinosaur ancestors. And if you hear a distant call, perhaps something like a prehistoric start me up, just remember, survival here requires a steady heart and a quick wit. Part 2, the landscape and environment. Stepping out further into this prehistoric tableau, you begin to appreciate the sheer grandeur and alien beauty of the Mesozoic landscape. Unlike the manicured parks and tidy hedgerows of modern Earth, here nature reigns in wild abandon. Imagine a place where the air feels thick with moisture, the ground soft and spongy beneath your boots, and the horizon framed by towering trees that have witnessed the rise and fall of epochs, much like the venerable oaks outside my study window back home, only rather less hospitable. You're surrounded by forests so dense and ancient they could tell stories older than recorded history. Towering conifers, cycads, and ginkgos stretch upward, their needle-like leaves and rugged bark forming a dense canopy that filters the sunlight into a gentle, perpetual twilight. The soft green glow that bathes the forest floor makes the dappled shadows dance gently with the breeze, like the flickering candlelight of a well-loved study. At your feet, ferns and horsetails form a lush underlayer, their delicate fronds whispering secrets to the soft earth as insects and small creatures busily flit among them. Strange, prehistoric flowering plants, now lost to time, add unexpected bursts of colour and fragrance, though nothing quite compares to the familiar comfort of freshly brewed tea. Ah, tea! How I long for that perfect cup, steaming and fragrant, with its gentle bitterness and soothing warmth. Here, alas, there is only the thick, humid air heavy with the scent of decaying plant matter and the occasional sharp tang of volcanic sulphur. One must make do with what the landscape offers, though I dare say nothing quite revives the spirits as well as a well-made cup of Earl Grey. Rivers, clear and cool, wind lazily through this verdant wilderness, their banks a riot of lush vegetation and the mud-caked footprints of prehistoric giants. Along these waterways, early crocodilian ancestors bask lazily in the sun's warmth, while distant cries of primitive birds echo through the trees. The very atmosphere feels alive with possibility and danger in equal measure. Beneath the surface, the earth itself is restless, a sleeping giant that periodically stirs with volcanic activity. Smoke plumes drift across the sky, and distant tremors remind you that this land is in constant flux. Here, lava flows carve new paths, and mineral-rich springs bubble to the surface, nurturing the diverse habitats upon which the dinosaurs depend. The climate itself is a greenhouse paradise, warm and humid, fostering rapid plant growth and a thriving ecosystem. This tropical atmosphere supports everything from the towering sauropods that peacefully graze upon treetops to the nimble theropods stalking their prey through the underbrush. As you traverse this dense wilderness, the cacophony of sounds envelops you, the rustle of leaves, the snap of twigs beneath enormous feet, the distant calls and roars of creatures both curious and territorial. It is a symphony of life, raw and unfiltered, reminding you that in this ancient world, survival is a constant performance. And yet, amidst this vibrant spectacle, you can't help but feel a pang of homesickness. The absence of a proper kettle, the lack of a cosy fireside, and the unmistakable void where a comforting cuppa should be. No matter how majestic the giant ferns or how thunderous the dinosaur calls, they do little to soothe a tea lover's soul. Perhaps as you sit beneath the flickering light filtering through prehistoric leaves, you might hum quietly to yourself a tune from the Rolling Stones, Wild Horses perhaps, musing on the wildness of this land and the quiet comforts that await you back home. Part 3. First Encounters. Surviving the Unknown. As you step cautiously further into this world of giants, the reality of survival settles over you with the subtlety of a Tyrannosaurus Rex's footsteps echoing through a prehistoric canyon. The unfamiliar sounds, the distant roar of a predator, the crack of a branch under a colossal footfall, remind you that you are, quite literally, a very small, very vulnerable anomaly in a world ruled by creatures whose very existence seems drawn from the pages of legend. Your first priority, naturally, is to find shelter. The dense prehistoric forest offers some cover, but it is hardly a safe haven. Thick vines coil like serpents around gnarled tree trunks, and the canopy above forms a patchwork of shadow and light, filtering the ancient sunlight into a greenish twilight. You quickly realise that open spaces are perilous. Here, you are as exposed as a teapot left unattended at a garden party, a tempting target for the more curious or hungry denizens of this Jurassic domain. Water, that life-giving nectar, is next on your list. Fresh, clean water is the elixir that separates thriving life from fading existence, yet finding it without the aid of modern plumbing or bottled convenience is a challenge that sharpens your instincts. Following the distant murmur of a stream or river, you move carefully, mindful not only of your footing on the slippery banks, but also of the eyes that might be watching, predators or otherwise. Along the way, you spot the tracks of various creatures, some large and imposing, others small and nimble, etched into the soft earth, silent testimonies to the many lives moving through this landscape. The huge, rounded impressions of a sauropod's footsteps speak of slow, majestic grazers, while the quick, sharp claw marks hint at the nimble movements of smaller theropods. Your senses heighten. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every distant call, every shift in the air becomes a potential threat or, perhaps more hopefully, an opportunity. The smell of damp earth mingles with the faint, unmistakable hint of decay, a natural cycle in motion, older than humanity itself. At moments like these, your mind wanders, as it inevitably must to modern comforts, particularly that cherished cup of tea. The absence of that familiar warmth is keenly felt, a void not even the thick, humid air can fill. You imagine the perfect brew, a well-steeped Earl Grey, or perhaps a robust English breakfast, its aroma lifting the spirits and warming the soul. Alas, here there is none. The leaves are foreign, the water uncertain, and the all-important fire, without which no tea is worth its salt, remains a distant aspiration. And fire, dear listener, is no trifling matter here. You will need to coax it from the reluctant dry twigs and bark of the prehistoric undergrowth, perhaps using a primitive flint or the now-lost art of friction. Without it, no tea shall grace your lips. Without it, warmth and protection remain elusive. So, consider your eventual mastery of fire as the beginning of reclaiming a little piece of home amidst the wild. Your first direct encounter with a dinosaur comes unexpectedly. A small herbivore, possibly a hypsilophodon, dashes through the underbrush with curious wide eyes. It pauses, sizing you up, a strange, hairless creature awkwardly clutching sticks and stones, before vanishing like a whisper on the wind. This fleeting connection, brief and tentative, is a reminder that in this alien world, life is varied, complex, and endlessly fascinating. Survival here is not merely a matter of physical endurance, but a lesson in patience and humility. The land does not forgive mistakes, and every step demands respect. The slightest error, A misplaced foot, a distracted moment, could spell disaster. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows that stretch like ancient fingers across the forest floor, you seek refuge, a safe place to rest and gather strength, your ears attuned to the nocturnal symphony of sounds. Nighttime in this era is no gentle lullaby, but a chorus of rustling leaves, distant howls, and the eerie calls of unseen creatures. Darkness is not just the absence of light, but the presence of unknown dangers. Your shelter, however rudimentary, is your fortress, your small bastion of safety amid the vast wild. In these moments of solitude and quiet reflection, you recall the words of Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. These words resonate deeply here, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life itself, from the smallest insect to the towering sauropod, and now to you, the time traveller, the intruder, the survivor. So as you huddle near your carefully tended fire, the flickering flames offering warmth and a semblance of comfort, you realise that survival in this prehistoric world is as much a matter of spirit as of strength. It requires wit, endurance, and a healthy respect for the land and its ancient inhabitants. And when, at last, you manage to brew that hard-earned cup of tea, perhaps amidst the distant roars and the gentle crackling of the fire, you will sip it with a new appreciation, a simple pleasure bridging millions of years. Part 4, Top 5 Most Dangerous Dinosaurs to You. Ah, the dinosaurs. Magnificent, terrifying and thoroughly indifferent to the presence of a lone time-travelling human, armed with nothing but wit and possibly a damp branch. As you navigate this ancient world, it's crucial to know your foes, or at least those you'd rather avoid, lest you become an unwitting appetizer. Allow me to introduce you to the top 5 most dangerous dinosaurs you might encounter, ranked not by size alone, though some are indeed colossal, but by their sheer potential to turn a tea-loving visitor into a rather unfortunate fossil. 1. Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the jungle gym. The T-Rex needs little introduction. Imagine a beast up to 40 feet long, with skin that likely varied from rough, pebbly scales to patches of proto-feathers, a bit like a giant grumpy lizard who can't decide if it wants to be scaly or fluffy. The latest research suggests the face may have been more bare-skinned, revealing an intense gaze from piercing, forward-facing eyes, possibly a vivid yellow or amber hue, perfect for spotting prey in the dim light of prehistoric forests. Its eyes, large and sharp, held an intelligence beyond mere brute force, and its binocular vision was precise enough to gauge distances with deadly accuracy. The T-Rex's skin might have sported mottled greens and browns to blend with dense foliage, but on occasion, flashes of muted reds or ochres could have served as warnings or mating displays, rather like a particularly flashy waistcoat at a formal garden party. Despite its famously tiny arms, barely more than overgrown stumps, this creature's power lay in its massive jaws, capable of delivering a bone-crushing bite. So, if you were unfortunate enough to catch its eye, you'd best hope your wit was as sharp as its teeth. 2nd Spinosaurus, the river monster. Spinosaurus was an aquatic hunter with a dramatic sail rising from its back, a prehistoric equivalent of a neon warning sign, making it quite hard to miss. Its skin was probably scaly, similar to that of modern crocodiles, with rough textures to aid in swimming. The colour palette was likely a drab mix of greys, greens and browns, perfectly suited to the murky waters and dense vegetation of riverbanks. Its long crocodilian snout was filled with conical teeth, designed for gripping slippery prey like fish. The eyes, set high on the skull, were likely keen and reflective, adapted to spotting movement above and below the waterline. Perhaps a shimmering green or watery blue, they would have glimmered like jewels amid the swirling currents. Encountering Spinosaurus near water's edge was an exercise in caution. Its sail might have been used to regulate body temperature, or intimidate rivals, flaring up like a royal banner. Imagine a semi-aquatic predator with the grace of a crocodile, but the size and reach of a semi-truck. Certainly not a creature you'd want to meet during a pleasant paddle. 3. Velociraptor, the pack hunter. The velociraptor, much smaller than popular culture suggests, was nonetheless a terrifying opponent, about the size of a large turkey. Its skin was likely feathered. Yes, feathers. A fact that delights paleontologists and complicates the image of a cold-blooded killer. These feathers were probably a mix of muted browns, blacks and greys, providing camouflage in the underbrush. Its eyes were sharp, alert and bright, perhaps golden or amber, always watching, calculating and ready to pounce. The sickle-shaped claw on each foot was its signature weapon, curved and razor-sharp, perfect for slashing at prey or defending against threats. Velociraptors likely hunted in packs, employing intelligence and teamwork that would be formidable for any lone traveller armed with only sticks and stones. Their feathers may have also been used for display during social interactions, much like modern birds. Think of a cunning creature sporting a feathery crest, giving you a very suspicious side-eye before deciding if you're dinner. 4. Allosaurus, the Jurassic menace. Allosaurus was the dominant predator of the Jurassic period, with a more lightly built frame than T-Rex, making it an agile and versatile hunter. Its skin was probably rough and scaly, somewhat like a giant Komodo dragon but thicker and tougher. Coloration might have included shades of green and brown to blend with the Jurassic forests. Its eyes were large and forward-facing, amber or perhaps a dull yellow, providing excellent depth perception. Allosaurus's jaws were lined with serrated teeth perfect for slicing through flesh, and its strong forelimbs, tipped with sharp claws, allowed it to grasp struggling prey. Imagine a creature with the speed of a sprinter and the power of a heavyweight boxer, its mottled hide blending into the shadows as it stalks through ferns. You'd want to keep your distance unless you fancied being a rather grisly lesson in Jurassic survival. 5. Giganotosaurus, the southern giant. Giganotosaurus, a giant from the southern continents, rivaled the size of T-Rex and was no less fearsome. Its skin was probably thick and pebbled, with earthy tones ranging from dark browns to rusty reds, perhaps the Jurassic equivalent of a tweed jacket, worn by a dinosaur who preferred blending into the dusty plains over flamboyance. Its eyes were keen and sharp, likely a dark amber that pierced the dim light of dawn and dusk. With jaws long and narrow, equipped with serrated teeth perfect for slicing flesh, it was a predator built for efficiency and power. Encountering Giganotosaurus in the open plains would be a terrifying affair, like stumbling onto a royal parade of danger, with each massive step shaking the earth beneath you. So, dear listener, these are the giants you would most want to avoid, or perhaps admire from a very safe distance. Their power, speed, and cunning remind us that in the Mesozoic era, survival was a daily battle, and you, armed with little more than your own wits, would need every ounce of luck and cleverness to stay one step ahead. Stay tuned as next, we explore which dinosaurs you might just have a fighting chance against, using nothing but your bare hands and a bit of ingenuity. Part 5. Understanding their behaviour and habitat. Having familiarised ourselves with the top 5 most dangerous dinosaurs, it's time to delve deeper into their behaviours and habitats, because understanding how they live, hunt, and interact can be the difference between becoming a meal or a cautious observer with a decent story to tell. The Tyrannosaurus rex. T-Rex was primarily a solitary creature, reigning supreme in the late Cretaceous forests. Its territory likely spanned vast swathes of land, marked not by signposts, alas, no quaint keep-out notices, but by scent markings and sheer presence. This apex predator was an opportunist, an active hunter when the chance arose, but also a scavenger, quick to snatch a carcass before others could. Despite its fearsome reputation, some paleontologists speculate that T-Rex may have cared for its young. A surprising hint at the complexity behind those amber eyes. Imagine a terrifying mother hen, albeit one with a set of teeth capable of biting through steel. Its habitat was diverse, including river valleys and forests rich in vegetation and prey. Its massive legs allowed it to cover ground swiftly despite its bulk, and those famously tiny arms, while seemingly comical, might have played a role in gripping mates or struggling prey. Spinosaurus preferred watery environments, swamps, rivers, and coastal regions where its semi-aquatic lifestyle shone. Its elongated jaws were perfectly adapted for catching fish, while its large, muscular limbs allowed it to navigate both land and water with surprising agility. The sail on its back might have served several purposes: thermoregulation, display to attract mates, or as a visual warning to rivals. In its murky, humid habitat, Spinosaurus was the undisputed ruler of the waters, a dinosaur version of a crocodile but vastly larger and more versatile. Velociraptor. Velociraptors were likely intelligent, fast and cunning pack hunters. They operated in groups, coordinating attacks on prey larger than themselves with precision and teamwork reminiscent of modern wolves. Their feathers not only aided in temperature regulation, but may have been used for communication and mating displays. Their habitat ranged from arid deserts to forested areas, meaning they were adaptable and capable survivors. For you, the lone time traveller facing a pack of these feathered hunters, would be a daunting prospect indeed. Allosaurus. The Jurassic predator Allosaurus was likely a solitary or loosely social animal. It hunted large herbivorous dinosaurs, relying on strength, agility, and powerful jaws to bring down prey. Its habitat was lush, dense forests with plenty of cover for stalking. Fossil evidence suggests it may have ambushed prey or used pack hunting techniques, though less coordinated than velociraptor packs. Its behaviour was probably aggressive but not indiscriminately so. A hunter with patience and precision. Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus inhabited open plains and forests in what is now South America. As one of the largest theropods, it likely hunted large sauropods, using its size and strength to overpower prey. Its hunting strategy remains a subject of debate, but some suggest it may have used ambush tactics, surprising prey from cover before delivering a fatal bite. Its territory was vast, and like T-Rex, it was likely solitary, patrolling its domain with an air of quiet menace. Understanding the behaviours and habitats of these fearsome creatures helps us appreciate not just their physical might, but the intricacies of their lives. They were more than just killing machines. They were complex animals, each adapted perfectly to their niche in the prehistoric world. Next, we'll explore the more hopeful side of your survival prospects. Dinosaurs that, while still formidable, might just be the ones you could outwit or outrun. Because every story of danger has its counterbalance of possibility. Part 6. Top 5 dinosaurs you could possibly defeat, barehanded. So, after acquainting ourselves with the top-tier terrors of the Mesozoic, it's only fair to cast an eye toward the lesser threats. Dinosaurs that, with a bit of cleverness and a fair bit of luck, you might just stand a chance against. Bear in mind, dear listener, this is a generous assessment. Your bare hands, wit, and perhaps a well-thrown rock or sharpened stick are your only allies. First, Protoceratops. A modest fellow, the Protoceratops was a small ceratopsian about the size of a large dog. Its beak-like mouth was perfect for cropping tough vegetation, and it sported a frill that, while intimidating to smaller creatures, wouldn't do much against a human with a sharp stick. Its skin was likely rough and scaly, with earthy browns and muted greens for camouflage in the desert-like habitats it preferred. Its eyes were probably dark and alert, constantly on the lookout for predators, which might just work to your advantage. Despite its stout frame, this dinosaur wasn't built for speed or aggression. If cornered, it might defend itself with bites and headbutts, but its main strategy was evasion. With a careful approach and some quick thinking, you might be able to keep this chap at bay, or even turn the tables. Second Hypsilophodon. A swift, small herbivore. Hypsilophodon was about the size of a medium dog. It was light on its feet, with a slender build and likely feathers or proto-feathers for insulation. Its skin and feathers probably sported a mottled pattern of browns and greys to blend into the forest underbrush. Its large, expressive eyes would dart nervously at any threat, making it a skittish opponent. With a bit of luck, a quick mind and nimble fingers, you might outpace or outsmart this sprightly fellow. Its main defence was speed, so standing your ground wouldn't be wise. Better to use the terrain to your advantage. Third, Compsognathus. Often overshadowed by its larger cousins, Compsognathus was a tiny carnivore about the size of a chicken. Its scaly skin likely shimmered with subtle earth tones, perfect for blending into leaf litter. With sharp, alert eyes and quick reflexes, it was a capable hunter of insects and small animals, but posed minimal threat to a human. Your bare hands could easily fend off such a diminutive dinosaur, though one imagines that a few quick jabs would be necessary. Ptychosaurus. Another small ceratopsian, Psittacosaurus was about the size of a large dog, with a distinctive parrot-like beak. Its skin was probably rough and mottled in greens and browns to match its woodland environment. This dinosaur was primarily a herbivore, and its main defence lay in speed and agility rather than confrontation. While it might bite if cornered, it's unlikely to pose a serious threat to a determined human. Cinquième Microceratus. Tiny and nimble, Microceratus was a small ceratopsian roughly the size of a rabbit. Its likely scaly skin helped it blend into the leaf litter of its forest home. With limited offensive capabilities and a tendency to flee rather than fight, this dinosaur wouldn't be much of a challenge to someone willing to hold their ground. Though it's fair to say that a calm approach is best when dealing with nervous little creatures. While none of these dinosaurs are the stuff of nightmares, remember that even the smallest dinosaur is still a wild animal, and any confrontation carries risk. The key to survival lies in understanding their behaviours and respecting their place in the ecosystem. In the next section, we'll explore some battle tactics and survival strategies you might employ, without the luxury of modern tools. Your bare hands, your wits, and perhaps the odd cleverly thrown rock will be your best weapons. Part 7, Battle Tactics without modern tools. Surviving in the age of dinosaurs armed only with your bare hands and whatever nature provides is no small feat. The notion of facing a creature larger than a double-decker bus without a smartphone or a sensible cup of tea at hand might seem hopeless, but fear not. Wit and cleverness have long been humanity's most formidable weapons. Know your terrain. First and foremost, familiarity with your environment is your greatest asset. Dense forests, rocky outcrops, rivers and swamps all offer natural advantages and hazards. Use these features to your advantage. Duck behind a boulder, hide amidst thick vegetation, or use high ground for better visibility. The ability to move silently through underbrush, avoiding snapping twigs and dry leaves, could mean the difference between a curious herbivore and an inquisitive carnivore noticing your presence. Think of it as an ancient game of hide and seek, with far higher stakes and considerably less forgiveness. Weapons of opportunity. Without modern weapons, you'll have to improvise. Sharp sticks, fashioned into spears, can provide reach and leverage. Stones, especially those with jagged edges, can serve as cutting tools or blunt instruments. Even a well-aimed throw can deter or distract smaller predators. Mastering the art of crafting these tools would be essential. Striking flint against stone to create sparks or sharpening a stick against rock are skills that could keep you alive, and perhaps even enable the making of that all-important fire for tea. Camouflage and deception. Blending in with your surroundings might save your skin. Smearing mud or crushed plants onto your clothing and skin can break up your outline and mask your scent. Primitive, but effective. Staying downwind of predators reduces the chance of detection. Deception can also play a role. Throwing rocks to create noise away from your position might lure curious creatures in the wrong direction. Mimicking the calls or movements of local wildlife could confuse or intimidate, though this is a risky gambit requiring close observation and keen ears. Fighting smart, not hard. When confrontation is unavoidable, targeting vulnerable spots is crucial. Eyes, nostrils, and joints are often less protected and can be effective points to aim for with whatever you have at hand. A well-placed jab or strike can cause surprise or pain, buying precious moments to escape. Remember, the goal is survival, not heroics. If escape is possible, it's usually the better option. Running in a zigzag or seeking dense cover can throw off pursuit, especially for larger predators less agile in tight spaces. Building defences, improvised barriers, such as thorny branches or rock piles, can create obstacles that deter or slow predators. Even a shallow pit covered with leaves might serve as a crude trap or warning system. Shelter is vital. Finding or constructing a refuge that limits access points and provides a vantage to survey surroundings reduces vulnerability, particularly at night when dangers increase. Staying calm and observant. Perhaps most importantly, staying calm preserves mental clarity. Panic leads to mistakes. Calmness fosters quick thinking and better decisions. Observing patterns in animal behaviour, feeding times, territorial boundaries, and signs of predators enables anticipation and avoidance. And of course, keeping a sense of humour, even in dire situations, bolsters resilience. A wry joke about missing one's tea, or wondering if dinosaurs ever got bored with their eternal reign, can lighten the mind and ease tension. Thus, with a combination of keen observation, crafty improvisation, and a cool head, even a lone human with no modern tools could hope to navigate the perilous world of the dinosaurs. Next, we'll explore the vital question of what exactly you'd eat to survive, because no amount of wit or weaponry helps if you're running on empty. Part 8. The food chain. What dinosaurs ate and what that means for you. To truly survive in the Mesozoic era, one must understand the ancient food chain, the delicate, sometimes brutal web of life that sustained the dinosaurs and their contemporaries. Picture it as a vast, complex banquet where every creature plays a part, from the tiniest insect to the mightiest sauropod, each with a role that echoes through millions of years. At the top of this prehistoric feast sit the carnivores, the fearsome hunters who relied on meat to fuel their colossal frames. Tyrannosaurus rex, Spinosaurus, and their kin thrived by hunting or scavenging, their sharp teeth and keen senses designed for tearing flesh and crushing bone. Just below, the omnivores and smaller predators played their roles with agility and cunning. Creatures like Velociraptor hunted smaller prey, while others scavenged leftovers with opportunistic gusto. Herbivores, meanwhile, formed the vast base of the pyramid. Enormous sauropods, like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, stripped leaves from the tallest trees, while smaller dinosaurs nibbled on ferns, cycads, and the earliest flowering plants. Their role was critical, converting sunlight and soil nutrients into energy that, in turn, fed the carnivores. For a lone human in this ecosystem, survival meant carving out a very different niche. Unlike the specialised diets of dinosaurs, your omnivorous nature is an advantage. Yet, it's not as simple as picking fruit or hunting small animals in a world where you're both predator and prey. Edible plants and fruits might be found in shaded clearings or riverbanks, but without modern knowledge, the risk of toxicity is ever present. Mushrooms, for example, can be fatal or delicious, depending on the species. Insects, however, offer a reliable protein source, a fact long known to indigenous cultures and now gaining attention among adventurous eaters. Small animals like early mammals or reptiles could supplement your diet, though catching them without tools would be a challenge. Fishing with sharpened sticks or makeshift nets in streams might provide another avenue, while scavenging leftovers from dinosaur kills, if done cautiously, could be a surprising boon. The availability of water is a silent but vital factor. Streams, lakes, and waterholes not only sustain life, but concentrate animals, creating both opportunity and danger. Approaching water requires stealth and vigilance, for predators often lie in wait near these essential resources. Understanding this food chain and where you fit within it is crucial. You're neither a giant sauropod nor a swift predator. You're an opportunist, a survivor who must navigate with caution, ingenuity and respect for the ancient rhythms of this world. And if I may be a little personal for a moment, I can't help but think how much I'd miss home, my wife, my children, and of course, my cherished biscuits back in England. The humble digestive, the ever-reliable shortbread. They seem like luxuries I'd never truly appreciate until faced with fern fronds and the occasional grubs. It's funny how the mind clings to the smallest comforts when faced with the vast unknown. All the while, the longing for that simple cup of tea, steeped in familiarity and comfort, remains a gentle ache. Perhaps one day, when fire is mastered and food is secured, you might finally brew that elusive cuppa and savour it beneath a sky unchanged by time. Part 9. What would you eat? In a land ruled by giants and strange beasts, your survival hinges on a simple but challenging question. What exactly would you eat? Without supermarkets or takeaways, and no familiar recipes to fall back on, your diet would be a mix of necessity, ingenuity, and cautious experimentation. First, your best bet would be plants. Leaves, fruits, nuts, and roots. But not all plants are edible, and the prehistoric flora offers unfamiliar fare. Some ferns and cycads are tough and fibrous, while others might be toxic or bitter. The art of identification, likely lost to you in this distant past, would be a matter of trial, error, and very careful tasting. Insects and small invertebrates would provide vital protein. Beetles, grubs, and other creepy crawlies are plentiful and nutrient-rich, if not the most appetizing. Indigenous cultures throughout history have long understood this and thrived on such fare, so there's a precedent for making the best of what's available. Small animals, early mammals, lizards, and amphibians might be within reach for a determined and patient survivor. Trapping or carefully hunting these creatures would supplement your diet and provide needed energy. Fishing in streams and rivers, with sharpened sticks or woven nets from plant fibres, would also be an option. Freshwater fish and amphibians could be a source of sustenance, though with the constant risk of lurking predators. You would likely scavenge carcasses left behind by larger predators as well, though this is a dangerous proposition, requiring keen awareness of surroundings and timing. Cooking food would be limited until you master fire, but eating some plants and animals raw would be necessary at first. Your digestive system, evolved over millennia, can handle a variety of raw foods, but caution is paramount. And then there's the matter of water, always the silent priority. Safe, clean water sources might be scarce, and contaminated water a quick route to illness. You'd need to find flowing streams, avoid stagnant pools, and perhaps fashion simple filtration methods from sand or charcoal. Amidst all these challenges, the thought of a warm meal, perhaps with a biscuit or two, and most importantly a proper cup of tea, would be a beacon of comfort. Part 10. Water. Finding and staying hydrated. Water. The elixir of life, the very essence of existence, and quite possibly the only thing you'd consider more precious than a properly brewed cup of tea. Though do keep that between us, lest Earl Grey develop a jealous streak. Imagine, if you will, yourself, a somewhat disoriented time traveller, plopped unceremoniously into the Mesozoic wilderness. Your throat feels as dry as a dusty cricket pitch on a summer's day, the kind where even the most stalwart batsman wonders if it's worth facing the next ball. And believe me, in this era, the odds of facing a fast bowler with teeth the size of cricket bats are rather high. The landscape offers rivers, streams and lakes sparkling invitingly in the filtered sunlight, but appearances can be deceptive. Flowing water, those babbling brooks and clear streams, are your best friends, your sources of hope and life. Conversely, stagnant pools with their murky depths are like that dodgy leg break that no one quite trusts, best avoided if you want to keep your wits about you. You must approach these watering holes with the caution of an opening batsman on debut, sizing up the pitch, waiting for the right moment and never underestimating the lurking dangers. Predators frequent these life-giving spots, no doubt drawn by the same basic needs, and it would be unwise to announce your presence with anything less subtle than a whisper. Without modern filtration or purification systems, no fancy charcoal filters or bottled spring water, you become a survivalist artisan. You fashion filters from layers of sand, charcoal from the glowing embers of your carefully tended fire, and woven plant fibres that double as the prehistoric equivalent of cricket netting, though somewhat less forgiving. Mastering fire, of course, becomes paramount. Boiling water not only kills unseen microbial foes, but also provides that primal comfort. Hot liquid, a tiny ritual amidst chaos, much like tea at the crease during a long test match. Achieving this in the wild might well be your greatest victory, worthy of a celebratory cuppa if ever there was one. Morning dew is a humble, fleeting gift. Tiny droplets perch delicately on leaves and grass, like the last ball of the day, shimmering and promising relief. Some succulent plants offer water reserves within their thick stems or fruits, botanical havens akin to a well-stocked pavilion offering refuge on a sweltering day. Your thirst becomes an unrelenting companion, nagging and insistent, like an umpire calling no balls at the worst possible moments. Every sip is savoured, every drop cherished. The mind naturally drifts back home. Imagine a fireside, the clink of china cups, and the ever-tempting plate of biscuits, so quintessentially British they might as well be considered a sixth food group. Yet hydration is more art than mere necessity. Drink too quickly, and you risk a stomach revolt. Too little and dehydration creeps in like a sly bowler's bouncer. The key is patience and balance, sipping deliberately while keeping a wary eye on the surroundings. Water, in this ancient world, is a paradox, both sustainer and risk. You respect it, you study it, and you learn to survive by understanding its nuances. Much like cricket, where knowing when to play and when to defend can mean the difference between victory and defeat, so too does your relationship with water in this prehistoric realm dictate your chances of survival. Part 11. Shelter and Safety, Building a Refuge. In the ancient world of towering ferns and rumbling giants, your quest for shelter becomes a matter of both comfort and life itself. Finding, or more likely building, a refuge that shields you from the elements and the less than friendly inhabitants of the Mesozoic is essential, lest you wish to become a rather unfortunate addition to the fossil record. Your ideal shelter is one that provides cover from rain, sun, and wind, but equally importantly offers protection from the curious or hungry creatures who might mistake you for a snack, or worse, an afternoon's entertainment. The dense prehistoric forests offer some natural protection, but they are also home to creatures large and small who won't appreciate your intrusion. You'll want to seek out natural formations, rock overhangs, hollowed trees, or caves, which can serve as excellent starting points. These offer ready-made walls and roofs, cutting down on the labour required and giving you a measure of safety. However, caves have their own drawbacks. They might already be home to other creatures, including those with sharp claws and a less than friendly disposition. When nature doesn't provide, you must become an artisan of shelter building. Using fallen branches, thick leaves, and vines, you can construct rudimentary huts or lean-tos. Imagine crafting a shelter that might make even the most fastidious camper in the Lake District nod in approval. The key is to weave branches tightly to keep out rain and wind, while ensuring the structure is sturdy enough to withstand gusts or curious noses. Location is paramount. Avoid low-lying areas prone to flooding, but also steer clear of obvious game trails or watering holes where predators might gather. A spot with good visibility helps. Being able to spot approaching danger from a distance is worth its weight in gold. Possibly even more than a box of your favourite biscuits. Camouflage is another valuable strategy. Using mud, leaves, and bark, you can disguise your shelter to blend into the forest floor, reducing the chance of discovery. It's the ancient equivalent of turning off your phone's location services, though probably less effective if a T-Rex is paying attention. And then there's the matter of the fire, your stalwart ally and comforter. A well-maintained fire serves multiple purposes. It provides warmth during chilly prehistoric nights, a means to cook food, and finally that elusive cup of tea, and a deterrent to many animals who prefer to avoid flames. However, fire requires care and attention, lest it become an uncontrollable beast itself. Nighttime is when shelter truly earns its keep. The sounds of the dark forest can be unsettling. The distant howls, the rustling of leaves, the occasional snap of a branch under unseen feet. These are reminders that the world is not silent, and that caution is still very much required even in your refuge. Building a shelter in this ancient world is not just a practical task, it's a balm for the soul. The act of creating a space to call your own, however temporary, restores a fragment of normalcy and comfort amid the alien surroundings. And when, after a long day, you sit within your humble abode, the crackle of the fire and the quiet rustle of the forest become a lullaby, coaxing you toward a well-earned rest. You might even find yourself chuckling softly, imagining the ancient dinosaurs trying to set up their own shelters, though I suspect a T-Rex would be rather clumsy with a hammer. Part 12. Predator Avoidance Strategies. Having built your humble refuge and learned to navigate the wilds, the next order of business is mastering the subtle art of not becoming dinner. Predator avoidance, dear listener, is a skill as vital as any spear or sharp stick, and one that requires a blend of keen observation, patience, and a dash of good old-fashioned British cunning. First and foremost, remember that many predators rely heavily on their senses, smell, sight, and sound to detect prey. Keeping your scent to a minimum is paramount. Smearing mud or crushed leaves over your clothes and skin not only camouflages your appearance, but also masks your scent. Think of it as ancient perfumery, only rather less fragrant and somewhat more earthy. Movement should be slow, deliberate and quiet. Avoid snapping twigs or rustling leaves. Imagine yourself as a particularly stealthy cricketer sneaking up to the crease, all focus and poise. Sudden movements or loud noises will draw attention, much like an umpire waving a red card at a flustered player. Learn the signs of predator presence. Broken branches, unusual tracks, and disturbed foliage all whisper warnings to those who listen. Listening for distant roars, growls, or the snapping of jaws can provide early alerts. Develop an ear for these cues, nature's own warning system. Avoidance of open spaces during dawn, dusk, and night is wise, as many predators are most active during these times. Stick to the shadows and dense underbrush where possible, making yourself a less obvious target. Understanding predator behavior is also helpful. For example, some hunters rely on ambush tactics, while others prefer long chases. Adapting your avoidance strategies to these patterns can save your skin. When possible, take routes that offer multiple escape options and concealment. If you find yourself unexpectedly face to face with a predator, do not run in a straight line. Zigzagging and using obstacles to your advantage can throw off pursuit, as large predators are not always built for quick, agile turns. Making yourself appear larger by raising your arms or shouting may startle smaller predators, though it's unlikely to intimidate the larger ones. Fires, as mentioned previously, are invaluable deterrents. The flickering flames and smoke can keep many animals at bay, though some might be curious. Always keep your fire well maintained, and be prepared to relocate if necessary. Lastly, never underestimate the power of calm. Panic clouds judgment. Steady nerves sharpen it. As the old adage might say, though I just made it up, keep calm and mind the raptors. Mastering predator avoidance is an ongoing dance, a blend of science, art, and luck. With practice, it becomes second nature, your best defense in a world where every rustle could be a warning or a challenge. Part 13. Nighttime Survival, Sounds and Threats After Dark. As the sun dips below the horizon and darkness spills over the prehistoric landscape, Like an inky tea stain on a fine linen napkin, the world of the Mesozoic undergoes a transformation both eerie and enchanting. Nighttime here is no quiet retreat but a symphony of sounds and unseen dangers, a realm where survival instincts sharpen, and every rustle or distant call carries weight. For a time traveller unused to this ancient nocturnal orchestra, the first night can be a trial. The comforting warmth of daylight fades, replaced by a cool, damp chill that seeps through your shelter. The canopy above becomes a tangled silhouette against a star-speckled sky, unfamiliar constellations twinkling in the vast abyss. The forest floor seems alive with movement. Tiny creatures scuttle beneath fallen leaves, the chirps and clicks of insects providing a restless soundtrack. Somewhere overhead, primitive birds call out in haunting melodies, while larger predators prowl in the shadows, their senses attuned to the slightest disturbance. Sound becomes both your ally and your adversary. The distant howl of a carnivore warns you to stay still. The snapping of a twig nearby sets your heart racing. Yet, to survive, you must learn to interpret these nocturnal signals, to distinguish between harmless night creatures and those with more sinister intent. Your shelter, humble though it may be, offers a haven. The crackling fire, your trusted companion, casts flickering light, deterring many animals who fear the flames. Yet the fire requires constant tending, lest it die out, leaving you vulnerable to the dark. In the quiet moments, your mind might drift to the familiar comforts left behind. The soothing sound of a rain tapping gently on a window pane, the reassuring creak of a cosy house settling for the night, and the knowledge that soon a steaming cup of tea will warm your hands and soul. But here, under alien stars, you're acutely aware that nighttime is a realm of uncertainty. Sleep must be light, senses alert. Every rustle, every shadow, every whisper of wind could be a friend or foe. And so, as you settle down, perhaps with a sigh and a whispered hope for safety, you become part of a timeless dance, of predator and prey, of life and survival, played out under the watchful eye of the moon. Part 14. Psychological challenges, fear, isolation and stress. Being thrust millions of years into the past, surrounded by unfamiliar creatures and landscapes, is not just a test of physical survival, it is an immense psychological challenge. Fear, isolation and stress weave a subtle, persistent thread through the experience, threatening to unravel even the most determined spirit. Fear here is primal and immediate. It's the shudder you feel when a distant roar cuts through the night, the snap of a branch that could mean a curious dinosaur or a prowling predator. It sharpens your senses but also gnaws at your resolve. Unlike the modern fears of deadlines or missed emails, this fear is elemental, hardwired into your brain by millennia of evolutionary necessity. Isolation compounds this fear. The loneliness of being utterly alone, without a familiar voice, without the comfort of family or friends, is a weight on the soul. The silence between the dinosaur calls is a vast expanse where the mind can wander into dark corners. The absence of human contact, the lack of shared experience, can be as daunting as any physical threat. Stress, both mental and physical, arises from this relentless environment. Hunger, thirst, exhaustion, and the constant need for vigilance push your body and mind to their limits. The unending demand to solve problems, where to find food, water, shelter and safety, leaves little room for rest. Philosophically speaking, this experience lays bare the fragile thread on which life balances. It invites reflection on the impermanence of existence and the deep interconnection between all living things, whether a towering sauropod munching on leaves or a solitary human struggling to find a foothold in a world not built for them. In moments of quiet, your thoughts might wander wistfully to the simple pleasures left behind. Modern cherries, for instance, those juicy, sweet gems of summer, seem almost miraculous compared to the prehistoric fruits you might find. While cherries, as we know them, likely did not exist in the Mesozoic, primitive relatives or similar drupes may have offered fleeting bursts of flavour. Imagine, if you will, biting into a dusty, tart fruit that might have been the dinosaur era's version of a cherry, though far less delightful to the palate. Finding such fruit could lift your spirits briefly, a reminder that beauty and sustenance persist through the ages, even if in unfamiliar forms. Coping with these challenges requires strategies both practical and emotional. Establishing routines, no matter how rudimentary, can provide a sense of control and normalcy. Simple rituals, tidying your shelter, collecting firewood, or marking your territory, anchor you in the present. Finding small comforts is vital. Imagining a warm cup of tea, the soft laughter of loved ones, or the gentle clink of a biscuit against a saucer can soothe frayed nerves. These mental images are lifelines, reminders that this alien world is not your true home. Humour, too, is a powerful ally. The ability to laugh at yourself, at the absurdity of your predicament, lightens the load. A wry comment about dinosaurs playing cricket or speculating on whether a T-Rex would make a good tea party guest can lift the spirits even in the darkest hours. Remember, mental resilience is as crucial as physical endurance. Each day survived is a victory, each challenge overcome a testament to human adaptability and courage. As our journey through the Mesozoic draws to a close, we're left with much to ponder about survival, adaptation, and the enduring thread that connects all life across eons. The dinosaurs, with their astonishing diversity and dominance, were but one chapter in the vast unfolding story of life on Earth. Their reign, brilliant and brief, reminds us of both the resilience and the fragility of existence. Survival in their world was a constant negotiation between strength and vulnerability, opportunity and peril. For a lone human visitor, this balance would be razor thin, demanding not only physical endurance but mental fortitude and a deep respect for the forces that shape life. Reflecting on the immense span of time separating us from these ancient creatures, one cannot help but marvel at the continuity of life, how it finds a way, as Dr. Ian Malcolm famously noted. From the primordial forests to the smallest insects, from towering sauropods to the very cells within us, the dance of existence weaves an unbroken thread. In this reflection, the comforts of home, family, familiar tastes, a good cup of tea, take on profound significance. They remind us that despite the vastness of time and space, it is the small, tender moments that ground us. And so, as you tuck in for a restful night, perhaps you'll think of those ancient worlds, of colossal beasts and primeval forests, and marvel at the delicate balance that sustains us all. Thank you for joining me on this sleepy journey through time. Until next time, may your tea be strong, your biscuits plentiful, and your dreams full of wonder. Herewith, I hope it serves, Professor Teabottom signing off. Thank you for watching this episode of Tea and Gravity. If you are listening to this in audio form only, consider moving over to our YouTube channel so that you can experience the glorious artwork that accompanies every episode. Please subscribe to our Substack for a preview of each upcoming episode, and they'll be delivered to your inbox so you never miss a video. And as always, mind the damp, bring a biscuit, and never ever try to outstare a puffin. Until next time, sleep well, dream deeply, and may your teacup never be empty.